my system actually crashed at some point here in this line, so that's one reason why it looks this way, and then now it's totally different because when I went back and remade it, I said, why did I do it that way the first time? Okay, there's where I'm making a more of a decorative cap for the hens there. Hey there everybody, and welcome back to Digital Paul Workshop. It is I, the missing piece that delays your perfect build, Techno Meow Tinkerer. And today we're going to do our time-lapse video on the Autobot Protecto-bot First Aid. Without any further ado, let's log on in. Now, when I first did him, I originally saved him as a Nissan Datsun, or Datsun. Oh, we always call it Datsun growing up. It is like a Vanette, which sounds like it would be a European word for van. Might be. I've never looked it up. The Japanese did adopt a lot of the European words for some of their vocabulary. But later on, I came across where someone said he was a Toyota. And as I worked on this, I did originally say there's a Toyota design, but then I later on changed it back to the Nissan, because as I worked on this, and you'll see when you get close to the lights, the front of the van there looks a lot more in line with the Nissan Datsun van, or Vanette. Vanette? I'm going to have to learn how to speak these words one day. Now here I'm working on the front. Now making the front wasn't too much of a difficult. Now doing this hinge, I really need when I went to do the transformation, the hinge didn't do right, so I'm going to have to probably redo that hinge, which is good part means I'm going to have to redo the front. Now I kind of cheated here. I used the I used the boolean to cut out the wheel wells, which has come very handy. Because I remember when I first tried to cut out, that I was using the loop cut and then moving things around, making the actual cabin of the back where the patient rides and part of the legs. Now one thing I tried to do with him, since the upper leg is hidden inside, I tried to make it as part of the floor, since the entire rear half of the van is the legs. So I was trying to make it where it would be lined up, so when it's in vehicle mode, both parts create the floor of the back of the van. The fun part is when I go into Accessories one day to try to create these and then create all the interior stuff, because usually there's a gurney, a spot for a gurney in this, as well as some other equipment. Well, at least in the newer ones. And the older ones, not quite so much. They might have had them in the vans, but usually, most time, they just put the patient in the back in the earlier days, because that's why they used to use the old station wagon. Yeah, I used the boolean to cut out the shape for the window, and then the loop cut so I could put in the panes of glass. Now, I don't know, because it's not a 4-edge polygon there, so I don't know how it would do when it comes time to render. I think I did finally figure out it ain't alpha blend in this version of Blender, of the 4.2. There's something else I need to go back and actually I'm gonna have to update some of my videos on some stuff. I've seen some stuff that's changed, some new stuff I learned. I want to go back and update some, which I may do next month, a few of them, because I'm going to be debuting some new design work. So that's a little teaser for you. Now, a mistake I did make working with the front here is I did end up using mirror, and because the way I used mirror, it created so many sub layers of them, and I'd go through and come out. Use the now when I first did this, I cut the gap out using the boolean, but a mistake I made, and I had to go back in, is I actually had to add in a few more edge cuts and stuff. Yeah, this is where I'm seeing some stuff. Now it might have come from the when I did the mirror tool when I was going through merge, but sitting here trying to add some of these loop cuts, I realized I needed to add a few more edges so I could have the windshield curve for the front of the van. Is it like the most accurate curve? No, but at least it gets the point across. But I'm getting better at using Blender, and the more tools as I learn, the easier it's become to create some of these shapes and trying to learn new patterns. So you should have seen how I originally created blades before my time-lapse video, all the hard work. Here I'm trying to do, I was trying to do the mirror, it wasn't working, so I had to use the duplicate. And for some reason, whenever you do the duplicate and then you mirror on the vertices, it flips. It seems like it wants to always flip the faces as well as the positioning, and I got to figure out how to keep it from flipping the faces when I want to flip the position. Yeah, I'm working on the body now. I did create the chest and waist together and then separate them using the P key in edit mode. And trying to combine as normally I'm trying to combine as much of the cartoon design with the actual toy. Now I use the legs to help create the cab of the front as far as when I was using the extrude tool. Now the shear tool would probably been helpful for bringing it back, some of it, but I can't get the shear tool to work the way everybody shows it. So I got to figure out why my shear tool is acting the way it is. There's probably some setting that they don't mention that you need to do, or just because they're using a different blender than I am. There might have been some changes. So I need to figure that out, and I need to figure out how to merge all these points that are so close together. I'm trying to figure out how I got so many duplicates on some of this stuff. I don't think I used the mirror for the cab body. And sitting here, I've used to use some loop cuts to try to get everything to fit just right. Now there were some stuff at the beginning that right there at the front, I don't know how I got those edges where they came from, but is that like I mirrored? But I don't think I mirrored the body. I have to look, and I'm going to go back when I'm not in a time lapse and actually look and see. Now this did give me some trouble for some reason. The Boolean tool did not want to work on one side of it, so I actually had to create these part of the frame there, so I can actually, which actually I think worked out best for me, because I was thinking, like, how am I going to put the window pane in with that type of edge where it lines up? And I figured I'd just go ahead and just have the front post put in, go in and put in the windows for the rest. Now, interesting enough is that middle window part, just a part of it, if you look at the toy, just a part, even in the patent design, that paper I'm using in the background, you look at it, just only part of it's on the leg. Now, I don't know who came up with that divide, but I made it work. I made it work. So, yeah, this is the arm. Now, I did do something different with the arm. I did not want, the toy has the outer panel as part of the arm, and I decided not to go with that. I wanted the arm to look more like the actual cartoon. And so what I did is I made the outer panel full back so the arm extend out. Now, I have not created the joint that extends the arm out from the body yet. That and the knee joint are ones I have yet to figure out exactly what I want to do, because I want to do something a bit different. And I just came up with an idea I might could do with the arm. I'm not 1% sure. But as you probably saw there, you can kind of see it there a little bit with the elbow joint. I've kind of given the, as you can tell, a little bit more of a decorative edge instead of just a simple rod. I don't know what you call that when they put it on the edges. You see them on some of the some hinge joints. Again, I'm trying to figure out how to sit there and have to move everything so close. And of course, doing my whole aligning everything using the shift axis and whatever axis is. Now I gotta remember where to put what pivot point you're using. Are you using at the top? Yeah, put it in the back windshield. Now here I created the tail lights, and I need to take a look and see, because, well, the bumper first, then the tail lights. And I don't know why my extrusion does that. Sometimes my extrusion will extrude everything evenly out, and sometimes it won't. I might need to have checked and see if the I did apply new shape. That might have a little bit help. You're trying to fill in some gaps. Now for the back, I did do the tail light. I don't know. I don't have a picture of the actual back of the ambulance one, I believe, but I believe the toy looks like it's got 3 lights, so I figure one of them is probably for the emergency flashers on the back side. One's brake, one's turn signal. Here's where I'm creating the panel for this to cover the arms and the hinges. Now, the boolean tool does come in handy for a lot of stuff, but what I probably should have done here was create a just a rectangle shape, because when I went to try to use the boolean, it did not want the cut out to look nice, because I needed it to be cut out a certain way, so when it folds, nothing will cut in like what I did with the front when I transformed the front. And so yeah, now there I think I did the mirror tool for that one. It was easier to use the mirror to copy stuff than having to redo everything. Yeah, I got around finally to creating the waist. I kind of put this off because I knew I was going to have to move some stuff around now. I was able to do the hinge joint a bit differently, and so that way it kind of keeps the width of the base or the upper leg while being in line with the part of the waist itself. Now, my system actually crashed at some point here in this line, so that's one reason why it looks this way, and then now it's totally different, because when I went back and remade it, I said, why did I do it that way the first time? Okay, there's where I'm making a more of a decorative cap for the hinge there. I mean, it's not that hard to do now that I learned more tools. I need to see something. Did I leave the leg all red like that, or I need to change the back of the leg to being wide to be part of the van? And just how I colored in the headlights or the backlights. And I stole Blade's head. When I realized I stole this head, I realized I probably have First Aid too small, so I did later on go in when I got done and change the size to being closer to the van's axle size, so that way when I can go in and I can do actually a height comparison of all these characters once I get done making them. I'll probably have all first responders, compare all their heights first when I get done making all their first responder vehicles, like the fire trucks, the police cars, and the ambulance. I hadn't figured out what vehicle to use for strong arm yet, because they don't really have a specific, they just have a generic one. And I was trying to actually do a I showed it in one of my previous how to do I was cleaning up the inside of him too, but yeah, showed up on some of the end. I need to find out how to clean up those polygons or whatever that are not being sewn. But I had to go through and actually manually create all the joints. I couldn't get the thing to come in correctly. And get the head. Now the head's kind of small. And now, without any further ado, let's see the final result. So, as we see here, you see I got 2 of them. Well, that's because just like Fire Chief was a recolor of Hotspot, we have First Aid and Safety. But how can you tell the difference? Well, we got to come on to other characters. Now, Safety, from what I could tell of the toy, was a bit more of an orange color. Now, I don't actually have the actual orange color. I kind of just cheated and used the orange for the light that was already there. Which it won't be really difficult to go in and change that. I just hadn't gotten around to doing that part yet. Yes, I know, I am lazy. Well, as you can kind of see, I did do, well, it looks like I did. I did make the back of the leg white. Yeah, because there's the waist and it's red. So I did get that. I did go in. I just didn't see that. So you kind of can see how the vehicle turns out. To me, it turned out kind of nicely as far as the vehicle form goes. I do want, down the inside, I do need to figure out how to work out some more. Yes, I am making this overcomplicated because if I was actually doing animation, I probably would have something similar to this, but this design actually for the vehicle, I have the inside more closer, and then when I go to transforming, I will switch it over to this design here and then have it transform to this. But now let's see what he would look like in robot mode. Open recently, bots. And there you go. First aid and safety. Like I said, I haven't figured out how I want to do this yet. I didn't, because, and the reason is because if I want to make this a seatable cab, I'm not going to be able to use the piston thing. But what if I can just have a way of it folding out? If I could fold that out and then have that slide on in, that might could work. I need to redo this. One of the more modern toys I saw has this kind of like it flips around, so I may actually have to have it turn and flip down the backside, because he's got all this empty space, which puts a lot of weight back here, where all his support for the front weight is up here. Now with the toy, you can kind of get away with it because it's small in the original G1. But for an actual robot and to make, it looks like he will be off balance. So I'm going to have to figure that in. And same thing, like I said, figure out the hips, not the hips, but the knee joint, how I want to do that, where that actually seams. Now, if I was to do it a certain way, I could probably actually have this part of the leg fold up onto this part of the back. So that way, the whole back cab will be help keep it a little bit more balanced, him a little bit more balanced. And his head's kind of small for this body, but that's because of the space I was working with. So if I was to want to make his head look a bit more normal, I'm going to probably have to rework the front a bit. Probably bring the head up a little bit more to the forward. But not too bad, considering this. I think this is the first time I did do first aid, so I'm getting a little bit better at figuring out where to position some of these things. But again, part of it is due to his simple transformations. There's what I was talking about. I got to figure out how to fix this hinge part here because it's cutting into his back, and of course you can see where this part folds back. I can figure out how to fold the arms out and then slide the cab closer in a way, that way it can give him a bit more center balance. But overall, I say I'm not too disappointed with the overall end results with him. I'm not like I was with Prowl. And so I'm actually running. I think it's because these trucks and vans are a lot more easier to work with than a car. And I'm running out of Autobot First responders that fit these profiles. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to have to do when I get to the cars. But that's pretty much it. And if you want to see some of the tools I use to help create first aid and safety here, check out some of my Blender tutorials. And also you can check out some of my past Blender time-lapse to see how much I have progressed in using Blender. Other than that, I hope you all have a blessed day.